It'll be great. Awesome. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Miranda Ward with the Valuable Voices podcast, and I have my friend Liz Hauser here. I'm so excited for you to hear her story, and I can't wait to hear more. What I know is just inspiring. I met her in a coaching group with Carrie Olson, and I'm just meeting amazing women, and I just know that their story will inspire you. So I can't wait for you to hear Liz's story. Thanks for being here, girl.
Thank you, Miranda. I appreciate you having me.
So I know you just kind of launched this program, and you've been working on it. I got to hear. So deployment moms, and I know nothing about it. So that's the thing. I can't wait to just learn from you. So tell me kind of what got you excited to, start this group and just inspire and coach these women.
All right. So first of all, I'm a deployment coach, and you're probably thinking, I've never heard of deployment coach. Well, that's because I actually made that name up, and I love it because it's exactly what I do. I coach military ladies, whether wives or girlfriends, while their sweethearts are deployed. And that's because I've had 17 years experience in the military. My husband's been in the military for 17 years, and he is on his 8th deployment right now. He currently just got out of the military, and now he contracts, and so he's gone half the year. So I get to do this journey with them and continue to remember the challenges and the struggles, and every deployment is different, and I know the challenges, and I just want to come along, ladies, and encourage them and support them in a way that they're not receiving in any other way. I believe the military can't always be there for families, and oftentimes the families get forgotten, and then there's the civilian side. They just don't understand, and sometimes they just, in their heart of hearts, they want to be helpful sometimes, but they just say the stupidest things. And it frustrates us military wives who are already so sensitive because our husbands are gone and we're having to take care of everything at home, including keeping all the kids alive, that it gets them really frustrated. So I like to come along and just kind of just touch them and go, you're okay. You're normal. Yeah. Everybody feels that way. Come and join our supportive community so that ladies that do understand what you're going through can encourage you and love you right where you're at. And I think that's huge in any walk in life. If you can connect with other ladies that are going through exactly what you are, it creates an instant bond, and more so with the military, because the military is so unique and so many challenges. And so I just like to provide that setting, which I do in my Deployed Life Facebook group. And then now I've just started to launch my first group coaching, Deployment Sisters group coaching, which I'm super excited about. I reached out to the ladies trying to figure out, what is it that you want? And one of the things I kept seeing over and over again is I need friends. I need people that understand. And when COVID happened last year, their support system completely just fell out completely. Like, if you can imagine, all the military bases shut down. There's no support there. All their friends and family that said, hey, I'm going to be there for you when your husband leaves, they got shut in their home, and they were left all by themselves. And it just breaks my heart to realize that. So, but fortunately, we're blessed with internet and virtual friends. And I know for me, because we've moved around so much, I don't always have friends where we're at. So being able to just connect, even on the phone or on a virtual call, can be so encouraging and so helpful. So
wow, I love that. I can just hear your heart, and I just kind of had goosebumps as you talked, because I know we're all kind of craving community, and what a beautiful thing you're doing for women. Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Tell us what's it like for somebody that doesn't know that experience, right? So I can't imagine your husband leaving. Do you know when they're coming back? Do you not? How do you even, I don't even know how you would manage that, or how do you do that?
Okay, well, for me, my husband has been in the Air Force, and we've always known when he came back. We never really had dates change on that. So that's been a blessing. But from what I see with most of my gals and anything other than the Air Force, oftentimes those dates will change. And this is before COVID. Dates would change 1-2 months ahead. So sometimes they would be like, oh, my husband's coming home this month, and they would get another month tagged on. So if you can imagine, when you're really looking forward to something, imagine you're looking forward to a trip. Like, that's just a trip. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then it gets canceled. It's so heartbreaking. It's disappointing. Now imagine that with your husband.
I can't.
You've been expecting him to come home. This is what your goal has been. And now that gets taken from you. And so it's really devastating. since COVID has happened, most of the ladies that come into my group, because I just asked them how long is he's going to be gone for, and they're like, well, they say about 9 months, but with COVID, who knows? Like some of them have their husbands sent off, and they don't even know when he's coming back.
Wow. Yeah.
They have no end goal, and so that is really hard and very challenging. Some of them, if they're in the Navy, they don't get to talk with their husbands very often because he's on a ship the whole time. So that's really challenging too. So that's why having a community and people ladies that you can reach out to is so very important.
Huge, 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 huge. I love that. So you're living in a mobile home. I got to hear this story. Tell us. It's just so, I don't know. It's intriguing. I got to hear about this.
Yeah, so we 4 years ago, my husband came up with the idea of just selling our home and all of our furniture and everything and moving into an RV so we could become more mobile. We love to travel. Where we were with the military, we did not like it at all. We were in New Mexico. And we just thought when they finally let us leave, we're just going to pack up and boom, off. Don't have to worry about selling a house or anything like that. So we sold our 3,000 square foot house, sold about 85% of our stuff in there,
Wow.
put the rest in storage, and then we just have been living in a mobile home since then. So we love it. I've got 2 boys. They're now 11 and 13, and this wasn't planned at the time that we bought it, but we wound up starting to homeschool them.
Okay.
It just worked better with my husband's schedule, and it allows us to travel. So like when my husband's gone, I can go and see my family, and I can take all of our books with us. Now, I don't drive this thing. My husband is adamant about me learning how to, but it scares me to death. So that's a big fear I have to overcome.
Oh my
I will only do it in an emergency. It is a bus. So
yeah. What is that
yeah.
like? Like, how do you decide where you want to go when?
Well, my husband he really just, now that he contracts, we can live wherever he wants. And so he goes, you're the one living in the US, so where do you want to live? And so we moved from Phoenix to Missouri last May. And I said, okay, let's just try it out there. It's really beautiful there. It's kind of in the middle between where my families are in Virginia and in Texas. I like being close enough that I can drive and go see them.
Yeah.
And another factor was there's a church that we love that we've not been close to in a long time. And it's Life Church, and there's like 35 locations. So we're like, okay, where are all the locations? Let's see if we can find one that is close to where we love to.
Yeah.
So there's one in Springfield that's just 45 minutes away, and we love it. Yeah.
That is so cool. I love that. What do your boys think of that? I mean, it's just different, right? It's not normal because most people live in a home, but what do your boys think of that? And how do you get out and interact with people?
Well, they love it for the most part. It's definitely sometimes an adjustment, not having as much personal space.
Yeah. Like, where are they right now?
Yeah, they're in the back room. I tell them, okay, go in the back room, do your school back there.
Yeah.
It's a decent size. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I always wanted it to feel like home, like we each have enough room to have our own space. But it's funny, they'll still fight over the bathroom. I'm like, okay, there's literally 3 sinks in this motorhome. Go find another sink to use, Right. But so for the most part, they do really well. I will say it does make it harder for making friends because we are mobile. And so like right now, I don't really have friends close by. I had a friend, but she wound up moving because she's in a mobile home. So that's just a little bit challenging.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so great, like you said, about virtually connecting to people. And again, you have this amazing group where you're connecting with everybody. I mean, oh my goodness, I love that. So how do people get in contact with you? You have a couple Facebook pages, right?
Yes. So my main Facebook page, so my business page is Deployment Beautiful, but my free Facebook community is Deployed Life, Strong and Courageous Military Wives and Girlfriends. And that is just growing and growing, and it's a very encouraging and supportive group. I always tell people that I'm very protective of my ladies in there, and I've worked really hard to make it very encouraging and supporting. And even though they can come in there and just have a bad day and kind of rant about it, I try to keep it clean, and just encouraging. Like I don't want them to stay in the mud. I want them to be like, okay, get it out and now let's encourage you and move on.
That's so
Because
good. Yes. And what a great space to give people to have that voice. Because sometimes you just got to let it out, and you just need to be heard and just be listened to. Right. But I love that. I don't want, you don't want anyone to stay in that space.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm just inspired by you just kind of taking your passion and your interest and your life story and kind of starting a business and doing what you love. So what have you learned in the process? Because I know it wasn't easy. It's probably something you've been working on for a while, but again, just it's inspiring. So what would you say to somebody that's like, I have something in me, I'm not sure what to do, but like being on the other side of it now and kind of living that, how I can't imagine how that feels.
Oh my goodness. So that's a big question. Because I've kind of been in the process, I would say, for the past 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
But it's really been more the past 2 years that I've started to like trying to build the business and figure out what is it that ladies want.
Yeah.
But just to let you know, it started, I think it all starts with inside here and God giving you a calling.
Yeah.
And for me, it was God giving me the calling to encourage military wives and girlfriends through deployment because I was challenged by it. My husband, his first longer deployment was 6 months when my boys were babies.
Wow.
And I was like on survival mode.
Yeah.
I was miserable. I wasn't enjoying it. And then about halfway through, God just woke me up to recognize you're trying to do this on your own strength. That's why you're exhausted. I'm here for you. Remember, you are my daughter and I will help you. And it just really like lit a fire in me of who I was in Christ. And so I came back that second half of the 6-month deployment and just really had a desire to make something good of it, to start to reach out to not necessarily military wives, but like, getting involved in the Bible study and figuring out how can I serve and encourage other ladies in their faith who are struggling, because I was had struggled as well. And then, so fast forward, my husband comes home and then he says, hey, honey, like he's literally home for about a month. And he said, I'm thinking about volunteering to deploy for a year. And I was like, are you kidding me? You just got home and I'm still struggling trying to figure out how to adjust to having you home.
Yeah.
And so I had a little crying session.
Oh, yeah.
And God spoke to me and he was like, do you remember, like, all you're doing is remembering the hard parts. Remember the parts where I showed my faithfulness to you and that I helped you and that the second half was much better. And he said, you are thinking that I can only grow your marriage when you're together every day. How much more will I grow your marriage when you are separated and fully dependent on me? Like that was totally from God. And that he spoke that to me. It's like, okay, you're right. And I came out of the room and I was like, all right, let's do this. God's going to work something great. And so I have to share with you from that promise, I went into this deployment I was like, I'm not just going to survive, I'm going to thrive. And I had some goals, and they were more just character building goals for me of, how am I going to do better and have more joy during this time and grow and serve others rather than just wait for others to come and serve me. And so I wrote about it, I journaled about it. And I just felt God through it all was telling me when I would have a hard day, he's like, you will learn how to do this and you need to learn how to do this because you're going to encourage other military wives. And that was a really big motivation for me. Like, okay, I'm not just doing this for myself, I'm doing this for other ladies. So from that, I wrote this book. This is my my journey through my year-long deployment. It's called Forever Faithful.
Oh my gosh.
Discovering how to
book. I want to read it. Love it.
So it's Forever Faithful, discovering how to thrive in your marriage while separated by an ocean.
Wow.
And so I started writing this book when my boys finally both went to school, and I was like, yay, I was a stay-at-home mom. I was like, I finally have time to myself, which she did too. And I was like, I had it in the back of my head, like, wouldn't it be cool to write a book? Don't we always have those ideas? Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Time. And it was like, God goes, you've got time now. I was like, oh, well, what should I write about? He's like, how about deployment? I was like, wow. So it was a very big step and it was a lot of work and it took me about 3 years because I kept getting distracted. Yeah. But I finally got it done. So then from that, it helped me to start seeing, okay, how else can I help ladies?
Yeah. Wow.
And because honestly, the military, and this is just my perspective, they don't provide well enough for the families. And I think it's just because they don't have the resources and they don't
Sure.
have the people.
Sure.
A lot of times you learn from people that haven't gone through deployment, and they're just there to,
Right.
I don't know, to push some papers on you in another book. So I like to come in with my experience and share very humbly, like, I've struggled too, guys. We've struggled in our marriage through deployments. I've struggled to be a good mom, and there's been moments when I've struggled in who am I? And so I'm very, very humbled. And so I think that's a good place to be, because
Absolutely.
then you don't come into it, okay, I got it all together, and just here's my plan, and just follow this and you'll be perfect. It's like, no.
Wow.
Nope. So that was kind of a roundabout way.
I love that.
I answered your question.
You did. I mean, I just love your heart. I just love what you're doing. I mean, we all have those issues, whether we have a man that had to leave or leave for 6 to 9 months, we all struggle with that. But to add that on, again, I can't even imagine. But what an inspiration you are. And I just can hear it in your voice. And you're inspiring to me in what you're doing. So keep doing it.
Thank you.
One last thing I want to ask you. So did you have any kind of like resource like this at all when when your husband was deployed?
No, not at all. I've always done deployments on my own, actually. Some of the squadrons, either they don't have the resources or don't reach out, and others, they're not in a place to get those resources. Maybe they're reserved. So like they're normally not military until it's like, and we're taking your husband for a year. So they're literally just, they might have family or friends close by, but they're like, I have no military family. They have no idea what I'm going through. So yeah, no, I never had those resources. And I'll be honest, I didn't reach out too much because I always just like, I'm just got to figure this out myself.
Yeah. Well, I love that you just listened to his voice and he kind of guided you. That's amazing. And what an awesome thing that you're teaching these women. So, I just got the warm and fuzzies. So thank you for sharing. I'm so blessed that you were on here. I want to read your book too. Like, I want to know more. So I didn't know you were an author. Congratulations. You're just awesome.
Thank you.
I'm just grateful you're in my life, and it's fun to just connect and hear your story. And so many women are going to be inspired by this. And I hope more people find you, because I can imagine you're just a blessing in so many women's lives. So thank you for being.
Can I share one more thing?
Of course.
Okay. So I realized I shared my story, but I didn't really say, okay, well, how can I encourage other ladies to step out in what God's calling them? So my encouragement to you is, sometimes God gives you this huge calling and you're like, that's awesome. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with that, or what does that look like, And sometimes we get caught up in that and we just go, I'm just going to sit back and wait till God has somebody knocking on my door. And that doesn't really happen usually. So to share a little bit about something, God just recently called me like a couple months ago as I walked to the church. I love my life church, and we'd taken a break for a couple months because we were traveling around Florida while my husband was home. And the first week I got back, I just felt this excitement, and I was like, oh, I must just be really excited to come to church. And then the next thought that came to my mind was, you need to partner with Life Church for these military ladies. And I could envision myself actually going up front to the stage and talking, which is not me at all. I'm not hey, everybody, look at me. And I was like, whoa, what? Okay. I was like, and then he reminded me that the Holy Spirit had spoken to me and said that same thing in another Life Church while we were traveling through like 2 years before. And I was like, okay, that's from God. I don't know what that looks like. And so it's been 2 months since that happened. And just about every week I've tried to touch base with somebody to be like, I'm supposed to do serve here. I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was like, God, what does this look like? Even in the midst of doing my business, and like, how do I fit this in? Right. And so I really just took some time to pray to God and just say, God, I want to be faithful to you. I don't know what this looks like, but can you just show me what the next step is? What's the next step I need to take? And so that's what I encourage you. So I asked God, what's the next step? And, in my mind, I think it's this big thing, and I think it will be really big, but oftentimes he wants you to just start with a small step of faith. And so what he told me to do was start a life group online for military ladies. And so as of just last week, I finally connected with the new life group pastor. He just started last week. And so I started signing up for that. And I was like, oh my gosh, God, I'm really nervous about this. How am I going to fit this in? And he's like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. And what I realized too is that when God puts a calling in your heart, he gives you that passion too, which is really exciting. And I'd forgotten, I do have a great passion for helping military ladies, but I have an even greater passion for helping them in their faith with Christ. And so I've not dug into that nearly so much recently. And so I was like, I forgot about that passion. Okay, God, you're going to use that same passion in this life group. And
I love that. I
it
love that
grows.
you get to take two of your passions, right? I mean, and just bring them together. And I love, again, that's your story. God spoke to you through each of yours and each step and kind of guided you through that. And that's inspiring for others to hear. So thank you so much for sharing. I can't wait to see what he
You're
does.
welcome. Thank you, Miranda, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. I'm so grateful. And if you know anybody that needs Liz, obviously connect her. Again, I'm just excited to see what God does. So, if you know anybody that has a valuable voice, you don't have to have written a book or have a program, but you guys, I swear everybody's story is so inspiring. And I just love meeting women like Liz and connecting and sharing that because it's inspiring to me. So thanks for listening. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.